Okay, I got a question earlier today from a good friend of mine, who has a startup, who said, "Hey Matt, I'm looking to do blank, and I'd like to raise $10,000 to make that happen. Do you know anyone that can cut that check?" And this video is going to be a direct response to him. But I'm going to record this and publish it and send him the link because I think this is something that a lot of people can benefit from hearing. So, and I'm going to leave him anonymous. So the answer to this question is, hey, I'm raising 10 grand. Can you help connect me to investors? The answer is no. I know investors. Like I could connect you to them, but I'm not going to. And the reason for that is really maybe a few reasons, but there's one primary reason, which is the packaging of the deal. If you ask me, hey Matt, I'm raising 10 grand, can you help? It tells me that you're not thinking about your company from the perspective in a way that an investor is looking at your company. Because if an investor is looking at your company, they ideally want to see an opportunity for an equity to grow in value. So someone would cut $10,000 if they had a good assumption, a good belief that that 10 grand would help the equity go up in value. And in general, the marketplace is tough. In general, it is difficult to do that. And it takes a good amount of capital to really move the needle on a company to have the equity go up in value. By the way, the equity goes up in value when you raise money. Let's say it's 1 cent per share. You raise money a year or 2 years later, the share price went up or the valuation went up. That is how the equity value goes up. I've seen to meaningfully move the needle on the company in between raises. I just don't think 10,000 is going to do that. I don't think if you raise $10,000, you might be able to accomplish something. You might be able to get a customer or a domain or a building or something. But like $10,000 is such a small amount of money that it's hard for me to think that an investor will think this check will meaningfully change the impact of the trajectory of the company. This is why I always tell founders, if you're going to raise money and you haven't raised money yet, go for at least 500K. Because at 500K, if you are successful in the raise, that is a lot of money to meaningfully impact the company and actually legitimately get the valuation up if you were to raise again. It allows your execution does not need to be flawless. You can have a few at bats, you have a few tries, you can hire a small team to actually give it a shot. Another reason why 500K is a good raise amount is because you are able to get checks from small micro VCs. And if you're able to get a check from a small micro VC, you can then have angels fill in versus just solely raising from angels. And 500K, it just essentially feels like a round. I mean, it's small. 500K is a small amount of money relatively in this industry, but it feels like you can do something meaningful with that. And if you are able to deploy that 500K intelligently, I think there's a story to say we're raising 500K, we're going to deploy it to blank, and then once we hit the XYZ milestone, we're going to raise more at this valuation, at a higher valuation. The story does not apply for $10,000. When I hear someone wants to raise $10,000, it tells me that they think of raising money kind of like a charity. I'm not saying that's what you think, person who I'm making this video for, but it's like, oh, I just need 10 grand, just give me 10 grand. I just need 20 grand. Just like, give me 20 grand. I can do this thing. But you're not being empathetic to the investor seat. You're not being empathetic to what an investor thinks through when they decide to make a bet. They're trying to make bets calculating which ones are going to have the equity go up, right? And $10,000 in a silo does not do that. Now, note, if you're raising 500K and you have an investor that wants to invest the first 10K of the 500K, it's different because the investor is taking a bet that you'll be able to raise the other 290K. But in this context, the founder that messaged me said they just want 10K to do blank, and it's not how it works. Either you don't raise any money, you get a loan, or you get a grant, or you go for the minimum amount of funding that is like palatable for the world, which is like 500K in this company. Based on the nature of it, maybe it's $1 million, maybe it's $2 million, right? But it's never healthy to raise 10 grand there, 20 grand there, 5 grand there, 25 grand there. You want to go in rounds. You want to package your deal to investors. You want to make a case for what makes the equity go up, the value of the company to go up. You want to sound like you know what you're talking about. And if you understand what I just said about the packaging of the deal, you will come off like sophisticated, and you'll come off confident. You'll come off as someone that knows how to capitalize their company. And because of that, you may just do that. So, person who's making this video for, I love you. You're awesome. You're great. You're a very smart founder. You have a very cool technology. But if you're trying to raise money, you got to do it the right way. You got to think about it critically, and you gotta go the whole way. Can't do it halfway. Can't just say I want 10 grand. Got to do it the whole way, or don't do it at all. Hope this is helpful to you. And if you're listening to this and you're not the person I'm making this video for, I still hope it's helpful. I find this is a situation that a lot of founders get themselves in, where they just want to raise 20 grand, 50 grand, 10 grand. And they would just be way better off if they were packaging themselves and they're around a little differently. If you thought this is helpful, feel free to subscribe below. It helps my channel. Give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, shoot it my way at matt@mattsherman.com. See you in the next video. Bye.